Hey everyone, Captain Amazing here, and today I want to talk about Grand Arena teams that are effective all the way in Carbonite up to Kyber. And these are some instrumental teams that allowed me to punch up in Grand Arena regardless of datacrons and relic levels and all these things. These are my most reliable teams. And as the meta shifts, these teams have been reliable in getting me full clears throughout my entire Grand Arena history and all the way up into Kyber. So let's jump into it. And if you like this content, go ahead and like and subscribe. It helps the channel. It's free and I really appreciate it. The first team I want to talk about is the Malak farm. The Revans are really instrumental and were an early game farm for me. I went for Jedi Knight Revan first. It was my first real team. I got it back when Jedi Knight Revan was meta a long time ago. A fantastic team. I felt like when Jedi Knight Revan started, it really changed what teams are, and it was the start of the power creep that we now see today. Also Darth Revan and Malak. So you need both Jedi Knight Revan and Darth Revan to unlock Malak. These three teams have allowed me to punch up in Grand Arena all the way from when I started in Carbonite and Bronzium, and now even in Kyber. And these teams have consistently gotten me wins, even through the shifting metas, the datacrons, and everything else that changes, because these teams are really great. And the benefit of these teams are, if you get them early game, they're going to allow you to beat these resistance and first order teams that are lightspeed bundles that you see all the time, especially if you're free to play. If you go for an early game Darth Malak farm and you unlock Jedi Knight Revan, Darth Revan, and Darth Malak, you're gonna absolutely stomp these lightspeed bundle players up until they get their GL, but you also have to, you have to work with what you can get. But these teams are really great. And the great thing about them as well is not only are they great early game teams, they also are instrumental in late game and end game teams. Jedi Knight Revan ends up going with Cal Kestis, JML, Jedi Knight Luke. He can lead his own team. He's very flexible. He's also the lead for the Jedi SLKR counter. So once you get Jedi Knight Luke and Old Ben, Bastila, and Hoda, then that's your SLKR counter for early game, which is really instrumental and not that hard of a farm once you start getting into it. And then Darth Revan goes with Malgus. Even in this day, especially for threes, I'll split Malgus up into my Sith Empire into three teams. So I'll make a Darth Revan team, I'll make a Malgus team, and then I'll have a Darth Malak who can go solo, and usually solo a Padme team or whatever else I need him to do. So this team has been amazing throughout my my journey in Grand Arena. So our next team we have is Empire. Empire is a really strong faction. This is the early game team after you get your first two teams. Emperor Palpatine and Mara Jade. You don't have to worry about the relics here. Yes, I have high relics on them because I'm a late game player, but early game, this team slaps. Absolutely slaps. If Mara Jade goes first, the enemy team won't take a turn because she feeds turn meter with Palpatine's lead into Emperor Palpatine, and then she puts out a bunch of debuffs, and then she has stagger, and you don't even need the Zeta for the stagger, and it just allows you to take as many turns as you need. It's like a death by 1,000 paper cuts, and the enemy team just dies. It's a really instrumental team. And then Darth Vader and Grand Admiral Thrawn, you can use Thrawn with Empire, you can use him in a lot of other teams, you can use him as a lead. He's still a very effective lead. And then Darth Vader is a solo machine. It should absolutely be your first relic. Merciless Massacre is really important, and then he just goes out and solo things like Geonosians, bugs. If you pair him with Watt, you can put weapon tech on him, and then he'll just absolutely dunk on the Night Sisters because they can't revive. There's a lot of things that you can do with this team, these teams. And then late game, Emperor Palpatine, Mara Jade, they end up pairing with with Starkiller, Darth Vader, you can put her in an Afra team. I personally use my Darth Vader a lot with Traya Savage to get that JML counter, or you can use him in a Lord Vader team, same thing as Thrawn, a Lord Vader. So this team not only is key in that early game, but they're also very relevant in endgame, and these teams have allowed me to spread my teams out to get that functionality. And especially once I was in Kyber and I was running out of teams, sometimes I would split my Emperor Palpatine and Mara Jade team and my Starkiller team. So I would go with Emperor Palpatine, Mara Jade as their own team, and then I would take Starkiller with some other junk like Darth Maul and OG Kylo, and then that allowed me to have some still A-tier teams that allowed me to spread out my team so I can, because I need 30 teams in 3v3s, 30 teams, 22 in 5v5. So sometimes you have to spread your roster as much as you can, and then going with things like Darth Vader, Grand Admiral Thrawn lead, and then Emperor Palpatine, Mara Jade team, and then Starkiller. That's 5 teams right there. So if you have to be a little creative with your teams when you're trying to punch up, when you're going against those absolute monster accounts, and having the flexibility with this Empire squad has really been instrumental in my success in Grand Arena. Next we have Sith. So Darth Traya, Darth Nihilus, Savage. Like, you don't really need Scion. My Scion's like gear 10, but this team is amazing, absolutely amazing. Darth Traya, even with as much investment as I have with her, with one Omicron, dunks on third sister, that Reva team. It dunks on JML. It absolutely slaps. They can take out Radis. They can do a lot for you, they deal with Tusken Omicrons, even the strong variant with Chieftain, Warrior, and then the Omicron. This team takes it out reliably. There's a lot. There's so much that Darth Traya can do for me on offense. Sometimes I take her and I use some budget teams, so I could go with her and just set and kill Relic Geos, or I could take her, Savage, and Darth Vader and take out JML in 3s for offense, or in 5s I can take her, Darth Vader, Savage, Nihilus, and maybe Talon or another 5th, and then I can take out JMLs on offense as well. So this team has so much flexibility, and I've taken out fully Relic third sister teams with Traya. An early game. And if you don't have the Omicron, then this team can take out something like, if you have a crew on defense, they have a crew on defense, you took out the sides and you just like can't kill them, then having something like a Darth Traya and a Nihilus can allow you to annihilate him, and then you don't have to worry about how much recovery he has. So early game, even with like very little investment, it has viability. Even late game or end game with very minimal investment, as much as you see here, I'm able to absolutely punch up and take out some GLs or some S tier teams. So this Sith team has given me a lot of flexibility, and again, you can pull these teams apart. You can have Savage solo, you can have Savage with Darth Traya, you can have Savage Starkiller, and that's a really strong team as well. So there's a lot of different ways that you can mix and max these teams so that you get the full flexibility you need to punch up in Grand Arena, because like everyone else, I run out of teams. So I'm trying to punch up against these super mega whales or these accounts that have been playing since the start of the game, and teams like this are key, absolutely key. CLS Rebels is a fantastic team. In 3s, they split up into two different teams. So you have CLS, 3PO, and then Chupio, and then you can go Dash Han Chewie or Wedge Han Chewie, or even Bam Han Chewie. So Chewbacca and Han is really strong. And this team absolutely slaps, If anyone takes a Starkiller on defense, this is the team that you take to absolutely destroy that Starkiller teams. You may lose a banner, because if your Han Solo can't kill with the assist, if you can't kill Starkiller, Starkiller is going to get 1 assist on Han Solo, and it's going to be really hard to recover those banners, I've noticed. But this is the solid team. And it's really hard because Mara Jade gets plus 70 speed with Star Killer. So, and usually Mara Jades are really fast. I've seen up to like acting 430, 440, even 450 speed on these Mara Jades, which are absolutely nuts. But guess what? Han always shoots first. And I always shoot Mara Jade right in the face. Always, always, always. So having this CLS team on offense is key. I see a lot of people throw this team on defense and it gets dunked on by one SWGOH. Like SWGOH solo by himself absolutely crushes CLS. So don't put this team on defense. Take it on offense. It is a fantastic team. And even with like low gear or low relics, their mechanics are really, really, really strong. So they allowed me to punch up and take out meta teams or strong teams. And they even, they're really good for cleanup. So if I take that Traya team against JML and JML happens to survive or I time out, then this is the team I'm taking to take out that solo JML. So this team is really, really useful. They're really strong. They have a lot of core fundamentals. As long as you mod them correctly, they're going to allow you to punch up and give you that flexibility you need to clean up GLs or to take out meta teams, because they are an excellent, excellent team. All right, so Imperial Troopers. Imperial Troopers are a really strong team. You may look at my investment that I put in here and you're like, what are these guys gonna do? I only have 2 relic characters. I don't even know what this guy is, maybe gear 8, whatever it is before Kyrotech. So not a lot, no Zetas. I only have 3 Zetas in this team. So 2 on Piet and 1 on Veers. And the second on Piet isn't needed. I just have it for his speed for his ship. So 2 Zetas and 2 relics. And this team absolutely slaps. They can clean up Jabbas, they can clean up SLKRs, they can clean up Lord Vaders, they can take out Traya teams on defense as long as they don't have Savage in there. They can take out a plethora of teams, Jedi Knight Revans, even Darth Revans with Malak in there. This team absolutely slaps, and they have performed for me time after time after time in Grand Arena. So if you're looking for that flexibility, if you're looking for the way that you can clean up these GLs or you can always punch up, Imperial Troopers is how you do it on a budget. They also have 2 assault battles. So this is an instrumental team that allowed me to absolutely punch up in Grand Arena, even with as low of investment as I have in there. And then sometimes I have a Gear 12 Stark, but I mostly use Moff Gideon because with his drain ability, that allows me to get another mass assist and another a way to drain all the turn meter on my opponents if they're really strong, especially if it's like, and they're demoralized with the 50% offense. So Moff Gideon is good. It's at end game, he'll probably go with Padme, and you'll make that Gidme team. But this team has been absolutely instrumental in punching up in Grand Arena and allowing me to beat players that have much more investment and rosters than I do. So Bounty Hunters. Bounty Hunters are a fantastic team. This is my Lord Vader counter, not this specifically, of course, because I would have Bam in here instead of Boba Fett, but Bounty Hunters, even in 3s, I can split this up into 2 or 3 teams, and they have been really important to me. That Lord Vader counter, because once you start getting into Erodium and Kyber, you're going to see a lot of Lord Vaders on defense. People don't like him on offense. They throw him on defense. Sometimes they throw Third Sister in there, or Maul, or whatever else. And this team can beat those variants. Like, it is a really strong team. They also clean up Lord Vaders too. So if you want to go in with something and then like a JML or SLKR, and then that Lord Vader just happens to ramp too much and it kills your team, then you have this team to absolutely clean up Lord Vader, which is really important. So having, and you may be like, well, Captain Amazing, a lot of these teams seem like they just like clean up GLs, but that's important. That's absolutely important. Off meta counters for GLs are very important, and having the ability to clean up solo GLs are also really important, because a lot of people just place that one or 2 or 3 or 4 S tier GLs on defense, and then they're like, yeah, go ahead and do what you can, and then if you clear those and you give them the full clear, then you can win, because they aren't planning for you to be able to beat them, because you may have like 1 or 2 or 3 GLs, and they're like, well, if I put 4 GLs on defense, they can't beat me. But I absolutely do. I did it when I had 2 GLs, and now I'm doing it even though I have 4. I'm still punching up against these accounts that have like 8 or 7 or 6 GLs. So you can absolutely do it. But bounty hunters are instrumental in that plan and in my success in Grand Arena. Even going against like Radis. Sometimes Radis is a danger. Sometimes if he gets his ult off, he'll just win. So it can be pretty dangerous on defense, but having the flexibility of a Lord Vader counter or a Radis counter, or even just a simple cleanup of taking out something that's really strong, or Ufus, this team, or even Tuskens. Like Tuskens can be an absolute menace, but having this team gives me the flexibility of going around taunts, having an insta kill that can't be revived. So this team is a wonderful team. It's really strong, and has allowed me to punch up. All right, so especially early game to mid game, these solo teams have been absolutely instrumental for me. Being able to solo like reliably at least 3, sometimes 4 teams allows me to get those 58, 59 banners, or you know, whatever it is in fives. Gives me the ability to not only stretch my roster, but it gives me more banners. Wampa can solo a lot of teams. Mon Mothmas, Jedis, anything like, you don't want to take it with anything with like that has tenacity down, or the ability to like insta kill him or anything, but Wampa absolutely wumps. She slaps. So you want these teams that can solo for you, because essentially if I solo 4 teams with these 4 right here, or you can add in Nest. I never invested in Nest. She's kind of in a weird place right now, but Nest absolutely slaps. So if you add in Nest as well, like that could be up to 25 characters worth, because if you use this one team to solo, then that's equivalent to 5 full characters, full relic characters. So normally my Wampa can take out Grievous teams, because a lot of people actually still put General Grievous or variants of General Grievous on defense, and Wampus beats those, beats sortie teams, Iden teams, Mon Mothma teams. She does a lot. She does an absolute lot. And even up in Kyber 3, low Kyber 2, I'm using her every single time at Relic 5. Wampa can also take out C. So really strong character, really strong character. Even Relic 5, I've been able to take out Cs. Especially if you can clear out the sides and you just have a C solo. Wampa absolutely slaps that. SWGOH. SWGOH can go with Treya to take out JMLs. It can go with Starkiller just to stretch out your roster and to take out some pretty meta things. Or you can take it to solo. Savage solos in teams like CLS. He solos teams like General Grievous, which is really important teams, and teams that you see a lot, especially as you're climbing up into Kyber. So if you go to Chromium or Rhodium, a lot of players put those teams on defense for whatever reason, and it allows having these Wampa and Savage being able to solo a CLS and a General Grievous team is pretty huge, because if you don't have that, then you have to use a high investment team. But why not just take a solo, get max banners, 58 to 59 banners, and then you know, you stretch your roster and it's a win for you, a huge win. And then Darth Malak. Darth Malak has some huge flexibility. Huge flexibility. He can solo tons of teams, Padmes, bounty hunters. There's even Ewoks with Nisa, like or even Ufus. Like I've seen him solo Seer teams, which is with Terran Malicos, which is absolutely nuts. This Darth Malak just keeps giving and giving and giving. And then when you have to really punch up, then he allows you to punch up. He stops Sith from gaining turn meter, so he's really effective against things like Starkiller, but there's other better ways to take out that as well. But Darth Malak is a instrumental character on just stretching out your roster. And then you can pair him, if you need to really punch up, you can pair him with things like Darth Malgus whenever you get Malgus, or Darth Revan. But having Malak and the flexibility of having 2 Revan teams and Malak for solos is really, really great. And then OG Kylo Ren. OG Kylo Ren is like an early game solo. A lot of players have him for SOKR and they'll just like shove him somewhere on defense. But if you take him on offense, a lot of times other players are also trying to stretch their roster. So you have those backwall teams like Old Republic or Ewoks or something along those lines that just like aren't great. You take an OG Kylo Ren, that's an easy 59 banners. So an easy way to, because his second special, he recovers health and protection, usually all the way up. So you just first thing you do is you do his first special, which gives him retribution, and then you start hitting that second specials, and you absolutely just start slapping the enemy, because as he gets hit, he's ramping up damage, and then he's putting more dots on himself, which is ramping up damage, and then you just easily win with 59 banners. So end game viability, not really. He's mostly on the bench unless I have someone who like really cheese their defense. Then I'll whip out some OG Kylo for a solo. But he is really important early game when you're trying to absolutely stretch your rosters as you're going through those different iterations and leagues. So those are the teams that have allowed me to punch up in Grand Arena that aren't GLs. So if you like this content, go ahead and like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. So take care.